Hello, Janksters, and welcome to another edition of the MagicJank Podcast. My name's Graham, go by Hamhawks42 on the internet, and today we actually are going to have a really special episode. We're going to be talking about the Pro Tour that happened last week, and I'm really jazzed and genuinely excited to welcome member of Team MagicJank who actually played on the Pro Tour this past weekend, Dafore. Dafore, welcome, man. How's it going?
Hello. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh man, doing wonderful, and I'm really excited to get into this because, we're really stoked, honestly, that you were there. I also, getting to meet you in person was an absolute delight. Honestly, I know myself, and I have a feeling a lot of our listeners, don't have any Pro Tour experience per se, and I'm very curious what the experience is. So yeah, we're gonna dive into it. Also, just how are you adjusting to to the time change and everything? Because I know. I know you came an awfully far way to join the Pro Tour this past week.
It's been like 10 hours of a plane ride, so it is something, but it's 6 hours of a different, I think, my and your time. So it's been quite an adjustment, but I'm getting there. I'm getting my sleep soon, and
excellent. Right. Well, I definitely want to respect your time, and thank you again for making the time, for us today. We really appreciate it. And did you want to introduce, by the way, yourself, where folks can find you out there? Because I know for a lot of folks, this might be the first time they're hearing you.
So my main channel that I stream from is Twitch. Goes by Dafore with an underscore. I still have the underscore. Just kept it like like I made it. Then YouTube with the same name, and I'm on MetaFi coaching. So if anybody's looking for some quote unquote professional advice, mostly limited, but I might get more into constructed because of the competitive stuff, and I'm gonna engage more into constructed in the future anyhow.
Excellent. Well, and there's no quote unquote, man. This is professional coaching for sure. Yeah. So if you want to get better at limited, definitely check out all of those channels for sure. Yeah. Excellent. So just diving right on into it. So this was not your first experience with the Pro Tour. Would you mind kind of explaining a little bit your history on the Pro Tour, when the last time was that you took a stab at it?
It has been a while, and funniest, my last PT was actually PT Atlanta, which was, I think, 2018. I might mess up the date a little bit, but it has been pre-COVID, and then the COVID happened, and I haven't really gone back to competitive. I kind of started streaming and focused more on content, but here I am, kind of accidentally qualifying. And yeah, I'm sort of riding the train now. I'm qualified to now another one, back to back.
Which, yeah, congratulations on that. My goodness. So accidentally qualifying? What does that mean exactly?
So if you guys, or if you are familiar with Arena Qualifier, which qualifies you to Arena Championship, and that's a tournament that you can play each month on Arena that can get you qualified. And I've been doing that for a while. You just do it because if you play Arena, why not, right? Like you do it from home, and I did like qualify now. So played the Arena Championship, and then Championship finished 6th, and that qualifies you for the PT automatically.
Which is awesome. So yeah, so all the arena grinders everywhere, it does work. They do hand out those PT invites. It does happen. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's a really small kind of commitment. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if you practice, there's more chances to get there. I've been like practicing some for the formats I like, but sometimes you can just get there randomly. So it's like there's no reason not to play it if you're already qualified, because you have to. So how you qualify is basically you need to get top 250 on the leaderboard in either constructed or limited, or win one of the play-ins. That qualifies you for the qualifier. And then the qualifier is 2 days, and if you manage to go through both stages, you're at Arena Championship, which is a tournament that I think the one I played, 37 people were qualified, but now I think they give away more invitations, so it's going to be like 100 people for the next one.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, that's an awfully Yeah, that's a very selective gauntlet that you found your way through. Well done, man. Awesome. So how much time did you have to prepare between getting the invite and actual, showing up and getting ready to shuffle up at the Pro Tour?
It really started for me with Arena Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for just like people that played on that championship that would just test with me. And I know um I knew that I couldn't get too many people, because like if there's 37 people qualified, right? If 10 would test together, that's like half the tournament. So
Right.
I found basically somebody found me, asked me, and I just said, okay, yes, why not? Like, better to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody to test with. So that was Cipri and Tron, which is now a good friend of mine, and we tested also together for the PT. And he invited, or he found two other players. So we were four testing together, really locked in. And what is crucial is that we tested among each other, because online you sometimes don't get the same feedback. You can win with a sort of bad deck just
Mm-hmm.
because you're really like used to playing it, and you'll play a little bit better versus random players online. So sometimes the feedback of those matchups can be deceiving. But when you test among each other, we can talk, we can, like, multiple people can watch one site, and then you really get the perspective. Is the matchup good? Are you playing good? Are they playing good? Like, really see the whole picture. And we ended up all four of us playing the same deck. We locked on Vivi Cauldron, which is not a secret now, but it was a secret before the tournament. We weren't sure it's the best deck. We had to come to that conclusion. I think that was the Arena Championship was the kind of the breaking point for that deck. And then after that, we know what happened with Standard, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, here we are in the VV Calder meta for sure. But the fact that the testing made it clear that that was the right answer. I mean, you guys clearly understood what was going on, and that shaking out makes sense. Yeah, and to your point, I know myself as an arena ladder, borderline casual yet obsessive player. I understand that idea of like a bad deck having a really good run for a day or two, and that can be very misleading. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate that.
I have
Yeah.
actually the experience from like playing quote unquote bad deck. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily that bad, but I did really well with blue red prowess in
Okay.
Standard, which was I thought it was actually favorable versus Vivi Cauldron. That's why I
Mm.
almost submitted it. I wanted to, like, I think it was 2 days before the deck submission, before we had to submit the deck list. I almost locked in Blue Red Prowess because in my mind that was a favorable matchup versus Vivi Cauldron. But I
Hmm.
said I needed to test more, and I tested like for almost 24 hours, just straight up playing versus my teammates, and I figured that Cauldron is just better. It's just a better deck. It's just favorite. And then I also locked in, and I think that was in general I was a little bit in favor of playing the team deck either way, because then it's such an easy way to tune. It's such an easy way to prepare. Such an easy way to figure out what the sideboard plan is, because we're then all four of us locked in, and they already decided. I was the kind of the standing out, still stubborn, playing a different deck. So I'm glad I then kind of committed to the team deck. It's just a different experience when you lock in for the same deck.
Oh yeah, I can imagine for sure. So what was it about the prowess deck? I'm curious because I mean the main I don't know. Yeah, why was that deck catching your eye, and why were you kind of stuck on it when the rest of the team had moved on? What was it? Do you think?
Well, I was a little bit biased because I really like playing tempo decks, and that was as close to like a real tempo deck in Standard that it gets. So it's just like you curve out with with cheap kind of spells that either generate creatures
Mm-hmm.
or are just cheap creatures that benefit from playing spells, right? And then you just back it
Right.
up with a bunch of interaction. Depends. Like, there's like those colors have usually I mean, Blue Red and Standard is pretty deep, so it has like a good sideboard plan and all. And I was winning a lot. Like, I was winning on the leaderboard a lot, and I was winning even versus my teammates a lot, but we weren't necessarily testing Cauldron versus Prowess, but we tested a lot of Prowess versus, for instance, Blue Black and other matchups like Mono Red and whatever the other deck there was. So I was more result biased, but then I picked up Prowess and I saw that I'm doing better. No, sorry, Prowess, the Cauldron deck. I saw that I'm kind of winning the same matchups, but also like it's better. Well, it's a mirror. You play a mirror versus Cauldron, but I think there's an edge to be gained by just knowing the mirror. It's still better than playing Prowess versus Cauldron.
Gotcha.
It's better to play Cauldron versus Cauldron. That was the deciding. There was really no upside playing Prowess over Vivi Cauldron. That's the conclusion we arrived at.
Oh, that sums it up pretty nicely. Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny actually. While we're talking about this deck, I'm gonna move on in a second, but I want to get your thoughts on this. There's a lot of discussion around banning Vivi. Obviously, it's been kind of the topic for the last couple of weeks, and even Wizards put out a comment about that. I think that deck is going to be good. Like, I feel like the aggro Prof-Eidetic Memory deck is going to be good even without the Vivi Cauldron package in it, but I think it'll be less dominant. Is that kind of your feeling on it as well, or I'd love your thoughts.
So it depends what goes from the deck, right? If Cauldron goes, we can switch kinda to Prowess, or like maybe a combination of Proft plus Vivi, sort the deck with like Draw Engine and then Proft is your combo, which is kind of funny because that's a huge part of Cauldron deck. That's why Vivi Cauldron is such a strong deck, because it has these multiple angles of attack, right? It can combo from the Proft side, it can combo from Graveyard, like Cauldron Synergy, or it just plays an aggro plan. And now with Riddler added to the equation, it also plays the late like card advantage game. So it just doesn't have a weakness, in my opinion, the deck. So it is a little bit too oppressive, if you ask me from like objective standpoint. I am a little bit biased because I really like playing the mirror, so I wouldn't want it to go, honestly.
Interesting. Yeah, there is something to be said for for an oppressive deck that has a good, interesting gameplay. There's something to be said for that. Is it fun as long as you're going up against that? If so, well, maybe there's something to be said for it. But yeah, and I don't know. That's interesting. Thank you, because I am of the impression that, at the end of the day, the core of that deck, there's no weaknesses. It's all gas. So yeah,
I was 100% gonna ban something already, because maybe because results of the tournaments kind of suggested that like there's some other breakout decks that can beat it, like Mono Red, for instance, was showing some results versus it, or like some control decks tuned to beat Cauldron decks did pretty well. But also, in my opinion, you can just tune the Vivi deck to beat all of these decks. You just need to adjust, like switch the cards a little bit. So from like competitive standpoint and from playing with the deck a lot, I would ban it immediately. I would ban something immediately because it's too good. Like there's like, basically, if you want to play a standard tournament right now, in my opinion, the best choice is always gonna be Cauldron Vivi. It's just a matter of how you tune it. Do you tune it to beat aggro? Do you tune it to beat control, or to beat the mirror? And then you can like obviously kind of figure it out. Maybe beat everything if you figure out the sideboard.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. So good deal. I'm trying to think of the last time we had a consensus that loud as far as something needing to get banned. So we're looking forward to that ban.
If you remember, what was the like back in the days? Because like maybe I slept on Constructed for a little bit, but if you remember the Jace deck, like that's old school. Like when there was a Squadron Hog, Jace equipment, like blue white. That there was like a PT where. I don't know, that deck really dominated. I think that was like
the Mind Sculptor, right? That was the other
Mind
Sculptor,
that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I actually was actually taking a break from Magic around that time, so I missed that, but I've heard so many stories about just how challenging that meta was to navigate if you were trying to do anything else. So yeah.
It was called
maybe that was the last
Cobb Late, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, with Squadron Hawk and all that jazz. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Yeah. So, so that was the standard competitive stuff getting prepped for that was the Mythic qualify or the Mythic Championship. And then the Pro Tour this past weekend was actually Modern. And so you were on Is It for that one as well, right?
Maybe I have a thing for is it tempo decks.
Hey, if it works, it works, you know? Like, well, yeah.
No, but whenever there is an option, I would try it first, and if it works, I usually stick to that. I would try a tempo deck first. It doesn't need to be blue red, but often those decks are like blue based, right, or red based with some complementary cards from the other color.
Nice. So how did the preparation for that for the Pro Tour differ from the preparation for the Mythic Championship?
So first of all, I joined right after I was again looking for a team. I talked to Cyprian, my teammate from Arena Championships, because he also qualified. That was like kind of like really
Amazing,
wholesome moment that we both qualified, right? And from Arena Championship. So yeah, like he actually was doing more of the search. He's a little bit more motivated. I do more content, so kudos to him. He found Team Scryheart, which consists of pretty good players, and there's a lot of people in. Like I honestly, most of the names I just know the Discord names because we mostly communicated to Discord. But like one of the standout players is Sean Henry. Hopefully, I didn't mess up the last name. Also known as King Henry on Modo. Like a pretty he's I think in he's competing for Player of the Year and stuff, and
oh wow,
playing at Worlds. Yeah, and there's other known names that I tested with, but it was way harder. First of all, there's more players, so we knew we're not gonna have a team deck, and it is Modern. There's way more decks. There's playstyle preferences, which I think don't come out as much in Standard as in Modern, because in Modern the decks are way closer to the power level together, and there's like bad and good matchups. And at the end of the day, you still wanna pick a deck that you really know how to pilot and is your play style. So we basically were more just exchanging ideas about the meta, but each of us was on its own deck a little bit. I think we submitted at least 5, if not even more, different decks.
oh wow.
And it was still like I'm not sure about the number, but it might it was probably like 12 to 15 of us at that PT.
Oh wow. So oh yeah, so there were very few even repeated decks submitted. That
Yeah, exactly. I was the only one at the end playing prowess.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, and it ultimately worked out pretty well for you. If I saw correctly, I believe you finished in the official final standing had you at the 55th place, which does get you got you the invite to the next Pro Tour, which is absolutely fantastic. Well done. So how do you feel about? I mean, obviously it turned out okay for you, but how do you feel about the deck selection? You know, looking back,
I would have like I wasn't as confident, but after the PT, I'm still 100% sure that was the right choice for the
nice.
tournament, because my worry was I didn't like the post-board energy matchup, and energy is pretty popular deck in Modern. But on that PT, it wasn't actually the most played deck. It was like the third or even the fourth best played, most played decks. First was Goryo Vengeance, then was Belcher, Eldrazi, and then Energy, which means that's really good for Prowess, because Prowess wins Belcher. In my opinion, it's favorite versus Eldrazi, but depends who you ask. I was winning a lot versus Eldrazi, but it is an even slightly favorite in my opinion for Prowess. And Goryo, I really knew how to play versus Goryo. It's not a favorable matchup, but I liked my chances post-board. Because pre-board Goryo just combos on you and you don't have interaction. But post-board, you get Surgical Extraction, which is a graveyard sideboard kind of hate card that completely wrecks the combo. So and it's free, right? The surgical extraction is Phyrexian mana interacts with the graveyard, right? So you like whenever you have two life to spend, you can just for free cast it, and they cannot combo off, right?
Oh yeah, I mean having even having interaction in your hand even on the even on the draw is kind of nuts. So yeah, I can appreciate that. Excellent.
And one thing I think that's a little bit of a missed opportunity, but you cannot really. I'm a little bit. I played pretty poorly day one. I should have, in my opinion, won at least one more match. I messed up a little bit. Like it's a bit of fatigue that I haven't played as much paper Magic, so it just requires a lot of focus on triggers and fetch landing and stuff like that. That's you don't think about when you play on Magic Online. So I needed like a day one was my prep, kind of like preparation or practice or paper Magic practice, and then day two, I'm super satisfied how I played on day two. So if I tested a little bit more, I think I could have gotten there, which means that the deck choice was good, but it is on me at the end of the day, and I'll do better next PT.
Oh, I have no doubt, and we're gonna be cheering you on the whole way, man. Oh my goodness. So, no, that's awesome. I mean, how much time did you have any time with the deck in paper prior to shuffling it up when it came time? Or you?
I was honestly hoping we're gonna, because we met 3 days before the PT in Atlanta, and I was hoping we're gonna practice more of Modern, but we mostly did limited there because other felt like they're more behind on the limited portion. I kind of play limited as a content, so I just really didn't want to do that. I didn't really even have the like the motivation to do that. So I did play a little bit of Modern, but mostly on the site when they were drafting. I just like kind of was annoying to maybe people like, oh, do you want to play me? Do you want to play me just to get some reps in? But not enough in my opinion.
Okay, understood. And meanwhile, they were shoring up what they perceived as their, the thing they needed to focus on, which was draft, which makes sense. Yeah, I gotcha. Which that's also the other question that I have is, so the limited portion was Edge of Eternities, and it's interesting that they went with Edge of Eternities, even though the event actually took place the weekend that Spider-Man officially released. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they just wanted an 8-person format because Spider-Man is supposed to be drafted in 4 people, 2 picks per pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really designed for an 8-pot draft. That's like, as far as I know, the reason. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. Like, why not 4 people pots? But that they would need to restructure everything. I think it's a little bit too much of also too much of a change for Magic players in general. That would be, I think, a lot of backlash.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That makes sense. I mean, they already have the structure. They have people are familiar with it. So fair enough. But so as a result, though, this was a set that you've already been drafting for a couple months now, quite a bit. So how comfortable were you going into that?
Really, really comfortable. I was a little bit on the which like I had this like kind of good arrogance about it. Like I was like I was going in like I'm better than most people at the PT in the limited portion, at least. Not as confident in the modern portion, obviously. But I've been there where I've been at the PT and I haven't felt good about myself, and I think that takes away from playing. So I wanted to have that mindset. It might not be the truth that I was actually better than everybody, right? Or that I'm better than everybody. But I wanted to go in with that mindset, especially in limited portion. So I felt really, really confident. And the set I did really, really well in this set as well. Better than in other sets on like just on the leaderboards and stuff in Arena.
No, I love that. And I got to say, I think you've definitely earned that confidence and some of that swagger. So for folks who aren't familiar, Dafore is regularly competing for like the top spots in the limited ladder. Like you kind of month in, month out. Like genuinely a big deal. So like, yeah, no, you've absolutely earned the walking in with a little bit of swagger as far as the draft portion is concerned with a set you're familiar with. So I think that was okay. And honestly, having some confidence going into that probably helped with any other nerves that I know I would be feeling, trying to compete on that stage. So, yeah, no, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, excellent. Oh, awesome. And how did the drafts go for you? I mean, like how confident or how were you happy with how that came together?
So day one, I ended up with an insane sort of soup deck, which is not something I prefer in this format, but I think it's such an open format and such a balanced format that you just have to react to the table and draft whatever the pot gives you, and you get
Mhm.
rewarded for that. So I got like a pretty insane soup slash salad slash multicolor deck, which was green based, and I think I splashed blue. Yeah, I splashed blue
Okay.
for like top end, which was mouth of what's the card? Whatever, a 7 mana 6/6 uncommon flyer and some other cards. I don't remember the exact, but
No worries.
the post is on the whole deck is on Twitter. Both decks. I went
Oh,
two
excellent.
one, which honestly for that deck I expected 3-0, but you never know. Limited still,
Mhm.
and other again. You play versus really good players, right? Like they're not
Oh
gonna just
yeah.
mess up. Like I think that deck would go 3-0 in a different environment, but not
Mhm.
versus those players. Yeah. So I think at a PT you take a 2-1. Like you're happy with a 2-1, and
Oh
both
heck yeah.
both of my decks went 2-1. Yeah.
Nice.
Day two, I had a kind of my signature archetype. I drafted Boros, which is a deck I like to force on MTG Arena, which is considered the worst archetype in the format, but I think I got it
Interesting.
figured out. So I really like
Nice.
drafting and navigating red white. So I think I got a little bit on the edge there because most PT players I think were still off of red white. They didn't want to draft it. So I knew that if I'm gonna get into red white, I'm gonna get the stuff I need. And
Amazing.
I really like the deck. It still went 2-1 again. I don't think that deck was the best deck in the pot though. Like I think in draft one I had the best deck in the pot,
Mhm.
considering what was going around and what I saw from other people playing. But in day two I just played versus somebody that had like multiple. I don't know if you're familiar with the draft environment, but there was a common forgot cryogenic relic or relic something
Oh yeah,
that
I'm
just
familiar with
yeah,
Cryogenic
yeah,
Relic.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
considered the best common, and they had, I think, three of them in the deck. So, like,
Oh my
just from
goodness.
the common up, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
that
Cryogen
the
Relics sees play in constructed. Yeah, I'm yeah, this thing sees standard play as well in like the pixie decks and whatnot. So I'm
yeah.
very familiar. Yeah.
So they were playing really well, plus having that insane quality card quality, and it like relic was just the start, right? There were uncommons, um,
Mhm.
like in multiples, the blue white archetype uncommon, which again, like I'm bad with card names, but
No worries.
and those were in multiples. So yeah, like
Oh
just a
man.
busted deck.
Yeah, that's one of those where like when that one when a deck like that comes together and takes you out, like what can you do? It's yeah, I gotcha. Very cool. Were there any other? I mean, I'm trying to think other good. I want to make sure that we're. I don't know. There's so much to ask, and I'm just curious. What was it like just being in that space again? I know I've been to a lot of Magic Cons, and I'm always on the periphery, like looking in on the Pro Tour and being like, "Wow, it must be really neat to be in there playing those games." I mean, what is a day like when you're, you know, playing at that level? Is it as exhausting as we all think it is?
Oh, it is. It is. It's really like physically draining, and also I think you need to be. I mean, you need to be mentally and physically fit, kinda that day. Like it really shows. For instance, if you haven't slept enough, if you don't like hydrate and stuff like that, because sometimes you forget to hydrate. Like I know there's
Mm-hmm.
like they give away. There's like a station with where they give away water and stuff, and you basically. And one thing that's really that hasn't been there in the past where I played in like 2018 and prior to that. They have like food now as well. So you get like
Mm,
breakfast, you can get coffee all the time. So you
nice.
always kind of have something that can hype you up a little bit
Oh, that's
physically.
huge.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was really really cool and a pleasant surprise. But you really want to make sure. I personally don't like talking about other people's matches and about also my matches too much in between rounds, because that just
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes you fall into a state where you messed up something and then you cannot go out of it. So you don't want to
Oh,
tilt
yeah.
into the next game. So I just kind of want to forget it and focus on the next game. We can talk later after the day is over with friends about like plays and stuff. Because what happens is you do always want to let it out. What like you want to let out and kind of feel better about yourself if you messed up, right? But then the other person doesn't really listen. I mean, why should they? They need to log for their own match, and I don't want to listen to other people.
Right.
I know that sounds like maybe uh I don't know, like a little bit arrogant, but it's just like you don't wanna you want to be locked in and you want to think about your matches. Like we can talk about the misplays and stuff after the after the day is over, and I'm gonna
Right.
listen like 100%. But like during the matches, I just need my peace and just calm down. Maybe drink some water, get to the toilet. Would be cool, honestly, if you could get some fresh air there. But the venue is just so big that you don't have time to go out and back in.
Oh, sure. I hadn't thought about that aspect of it. Um, but yeah, of course, you gotta be focused on the next match always. Like that's just yeah how it's got to work.
One
So
thing that I really
interesting.
like though is when you have teammates there, just like kind of celebrate and hype them up when they win. Or when you win, they back you up. That's something that I really really like. That's the engagement I want to have with my teammates. I want to just like, okay, you're gonna do it. If they fail, yeah, you're good. You're still good. Your next round is gonna go better. Stuff like that. Not the details, just like actual like encouragement and stuff like that.
Nice. I hadn't considered that, but of course, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, I am curious too. Like we think of Magic as an individual game because obviously each match, your record, it's all you. But this team dynamic is something that when you're doing preparation, I mean, everybody's there to help each other. Um, I'm curious how much. I don't know. Could you just maybe expand on like what is it like? I mean, are there like team rivalries, or is it more just the camaraderie between teammates that really is the
It's
um,
more
yeah.
camaraderie. I think it's less of a rivalry. You are a little bit like, oh, that the players from that and that team that you know and that you know they are really good. Just even if you don't
Mhm.
know the person, they are wearing the jersey or like have some sort of a logo on. You're a little bit, oh, they're like you're playing versus like it's a little bit sometimes intimidating to play versus somebody from a really well known team.
Right. Yeah.
In
If
that
you're lined
sense.
up across from like CFB or a Handshake or any of those groups. Yeah. 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 I can imagine.
Exactly, exactly. But you're not like, oh, our team did better than your team. We weren't thinking about that like at all.
No, that
I
makes
think it's
sense.
still on the individual level. Oh, that person is doing well in this PT. But you are like, you are obviously happy about your teammates doing well because you were invested in their process of like learning kind of the format and breaking it and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. Is there any piece of advice that you wish you'd been given going into this?
Honestly play more paper magic, but that was I was a little bit limited on that because I really wanted to. I don't didn't want to sleep on the content part. I wanted to do content, and I played mostly limited for my content. I didn't also. It wouldn't be fair to my teammates if I spoiled any of the modern stuff. Because
Mm,
if I went into the PT now alone, I would just do everything publicly because I value content a little bit more than I value my competitive career. But
mm.
I would never um, put the team into if I'm on a team that seems like completely unacceptable. That would be unacceptable for me if I had somebody on the team just spoiling what we're doing. Because
Oh, sure. Just
yeah,
publicly leaking all of your findings and all the
yeah.
work you've been putting in. Yeah, I can appreciate
So
that.
it was a little bit of a challenge balancing content because content felt like more, at least for that period, it felt a little bit more like a job because it was in the way of the testing, and I still wanted to put the hours in. Um, so yeah, there is that part that maybe for the next one I'm gonna figure out how to organize that better, or maybe even combine at least some portion of it. Like for instance, there are stages where you just don't like know the format. Nobody knows the format. You just play it. Like I
Oh,
don't know.
sure.
It's wide open. You just try existing decks, and that I could potentially stream, but I wouldn't then. It's then hard to publish anything that's what are your deck choices, what are your card choices for specific decks, or your even sideboard plans can be completely different from what other people are doing, even if you play the same deck. I think like this is something that maybe outside viewers don't see that much, because a lot of the, at least that's how I got a lot of constructed content in the past, or like how I learned constructed decks, that I got somebody else's sideboard plan or sideboard guide. But now I see that those sideboard guides are not like guide is not something that's it's not it can be. I mean, it's more subjective that you think. Like people sideboard differently with the same cards, and one is better than the other, but you could still do well. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's not always like people think it's like something that's like 100% the fact, or this is how you should sideboard. But there, like people need to arrive to that stage first of all, and then there's also like next leveling. You can sideboard differently just to kind of get into opponent's head and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. Well, and I think sideboarding is probably one of the trickier aspects too, because when you're done with the match, how often are you confident you sideboarded correctly? Like I know that's something that I always struggle with whenever I'm doing any kind of best of 3 deck builds, or I'm trying to tune it. I'm always wondering, like, obviously if you draw the sideboard card and it saves you, okay, sure, you know that was the right pick in that matchup. But if that doesn't happen, should you slot in 2? Should you slot in 3? Like that's tough data to collect. So yeah,
this comes from just knowing the deck, just playing the matchup that you kind of are tackling, right, with the sideboard cards. If you know the matchup in and out, you're gonna know which cards matter and which cards are worse or bad, which cards you want to move out on the play, on the draw. So I think if you really know a deck well, you don't really need a sideboard like sheet or like a sideboard paper. It does help you because at one point you want to write it down either way. So it does help you to just check if you haven't forgotten anything. But I know my matchups. I knew my matchups, like at least the popular ones. I knew them just like just like I eternalized them basically.
right.
I didn't need like the sideboard sheet, even though I still used it, because I sometimes because it's paper Magic, you don't see the whole deck in front of you, right? So you really want to make sure you check before you present the deck to opponent in a specific game. You want to check that all of your cards are in your deck, not in your sideboard, and vice versa, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
and that's why a paper helps, because you can just kind of check on each card, and that's it.
Sure. Yeah, quick check on what's in the sideboard. Does this match? Yeah, and yeah. I mean, that is actually something I'm curious about. How difficult is that? I mean, I can appreciate the fact that you had a sheet there to make it relatively straightforward. I would imagine keeping track of that for multiple days would be yeah, and the infraction for, well, I don't know the infraction write-off for, not, de-sideboarding properly going into a game 1. I know you can definitely get into some trouble for that, and I know that would be a problem, obviously. So how difficult is it to just manage the deck throughout a gigantic tournament? I guess if that's
I think this is one of the least kind of taxing on your energy parts, but it adds up, right? Like you have to physically remove the cards, you have to put them in, and then it's always in the back of your head. Did I present the right deck? Because if you figure out you draw a sideboard card, you obviously would be correct to. I mean, that's what you need to do. You need to report yourself. Oh, I have a and then you get a game loss, which is pretty insane. I mean, insane. It's normal, right? You cannot play with an illegal deck in a in a
Right.
tournament. So yeah, it's like all these things that are not present when you play online, they add up and they take away from the actual strategical thinking, because you have to worry about, like, I think this is one of the like least taxing things, like the sideboard, like de-sideboarding, because you
Mm-hmm.
get it like on automote and you
Yeah.
do it, and
It's.
you have also like time between rounds to double check stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And before you submit a deck, you can count out like, do you have 15 cards in the sideboard and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's other things, like there's like, for instance, in modern, there's a lot of fetch lands, and then fetch lands leads to, they can fetch a survey land now, which is then another
Mm-hmm.
trigger that you're not supposed to miss. Then you have, for instance, in a deck I played, Prowess has Mishra's Bauble trigger, has
Oh, sure.
Surveil on Dragon Rage Channeler, has
Mm-hmm.
Prowess triggers on Swift Spear, has token triggers on Corey Steel Cutter. Like just these little details, and once
Oof.
you have multiple of that in play, let's say you have Dragon, the Channeler, the Bauble trigger, then how many spells you play, you need to count the prowess up, all the pumps from the like mutagenic growths and stuff. It can be a lot, and that on Modo, for instance, or in Arena, that stuff is calculated for you automatically. Here you
Mm-hmm.
need to do it, then opponent does it, then you need to double check because you don't want to miss a damage, right?
Right.
And while you do that, you need to think about your turn, next turn, what opponent is doing, and the strategical things, right? So it is
Right.
harder, yeah. It's just harder. It's more. But everybody,
What?
like, it goes both ways, right? Both
Right.
players have to think about that. It's not just me.
Well, that's wild too, and it's also in a high stakes environment against an excellent player. Like that's yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
What really helped me, I think day one I was too kind of worried I'm gonna mess up something, and then
Mm-hmm.
you double check too much, and then that takes away your time, and you think about the triggers too much while you should be thinking about the game. Day two, I loosened up a little bit. I just said, okay, like I got like uh my default, like, kind of this auto thinking mode is good enough. Like I don't need to double check my triggers. I'm not gonna just forget it, right? I'm not gonna
Right.
like double, triple calculate the damage now and stuff because I'm not confident enough. So I think like getting into that state is it's pretty important.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow. No, that's definitely intense, man. I Oh, man. I'm trying to think of the next like what other questions to ask, but like is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to share? I mean, like yeah, it all sounds incredibly intense, and I know yeah, you mentioned just worrying and the sheer amount of stuff that you need to keep track of. Um sounds like a lot. Sounds like an awful lot.
A good question, maybe. I can put a
Yeah.
question for you
Oh yeah.
up there, which is like maybe what I would ask somebody that plays prowess. Like the first thing
Mhm.
I ask another prowess player is, how many Mishra bobble triggers have you missed on the both days?
Oh, sure. The drawing on the upkeep is something that older
Yeah.
cards do, and yeah, I can only imagine. And I'm sure the answer that you get to that often is, "Oh, plenty." You know, that's yeah.
You do, like, you do hear, like, I don't think I talked to anybody that like, I missed two triggers, one each
Okay.
day, and I said, okay, that's okay. I can miss one per day, but it feels insanely devastating because that's such a free, like, that's like insane if you miss that. Like, you think to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
how could I do that? It's a card. Like, why am I, the
Right.
most important thing in Magic I'm not doing? I'm not drawing cards.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Well, and you
Yeah,
run Mishra's Bauble because it's free and it replaces itself. That's the whole reason
yeah.
you run
But
it.
what
Like,
happens in real life? I mean, obviously in on Modo and in digital platforms,
mm-hmm.
Arena or Modo does that for you, right? You don't need to think about that. But what
Right.
happens in real life is often there's like, you do that at the beginning of the turn to trigger all your prowess or your surveil, whatever it triggers, even
Mm-hmm.
delirium. Then it's multiple calculation, multiple spells in, and sometimes even a judge call in between. And then
Oh,
you go your
sure.
turn. and then you need to remember
And-
to draw a card, and sometimes you just forget. And I
yeah,
think the
and
one
that
I
was.
actually forgot when there was a judge call in between, so it was
Mhm.
probably like taking 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh,
And then I forgot it. I made like
oh my
I don't have
goodness.
it here, too bad. I made like a token for the day two, like a card just like drawn up to put it
Yeah,
on the table. And even then I
nice.
forgot on
Oh
day two
no.
one. Because then it was
Oh my
like it
goodness.
was funny. The token was on the table during the turn, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, I
Yeah.
missed it.
Yeah, the following turn
I
as
was
your
just
opponent's
looking at the
going, you realize,
token,
oh,
and yeah, it was so bad. I mean, I still won then the game, but yeah, that could be a difference between
oh,
a loss.
absolutely. Oh, oh, that's wild. Oh man. Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, modern man. Wow, there's so much going on. Um, yeah. So I guess the other question that I have, just to, as a fellow arena player, um, did you have fun?
I did have a lot of fun. Just the whole it hits you differently when you it hits you really different when you play competitive constructed. I am actually a big fan of constructed, but I don't enjoy it just on the leaderboard because there's no stakes. And when
Mm-hmm.
there's no stakes, there's no real meta because everybody just tries different decks for the sake of trying them. Nobody
Yeah.
really commits. And I think the big part of constructed is preparation for a certain meta. That there is where the actual gameplay starts. You
Mm.
wanna like just predicting a meta and choosing the right deck and the right cards in a deck list or in sideboard for certain meta goes really, really far. And that gives you, I think, the maybe the biggest edge, in my opinion. Um, and then yeah, it's like you have to also play it well and everything, which is then double the reward because you put the work in, you put the prep in, you chose the right deck, you played well, and it just feels hits different. And I really don't, I'm not motivated to play constructed on just a leaderboard.
I'm glad to hear that the tournament was an enjoyable experience, even though there was so much going on and like so much to focus on. Yeah, and we got the next one coming up in Las Vegas in a few months. Like that's is that the next pro tour? If am I recalling that
The
correctly,
next
or am I?
PT I'm qualified for it's Richmond, which is in January.
Ah, that's the
It
one.
might
Okay,
be Vegas, might be after that. I'm not that sure about that though.
okay. No, I think you're right. Yeah, thank you. Very good. So yeah, in January. That's not that far off. Big picture.
It's gonna be standard, and I think Avatar plus the Lorwyn set will be in, and I expect something from the Quadrum to go. So it's
Oh,
gonna be a
I hope so.
completely different format, in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe Quadrum stays.
Oh yeah, I mean at this point, yeah, we have two sets and a ban announcement between now and then. Yeah, who knows what the? Yeah, you definitely don't start prepping now. That's for sure. Yeah,
No, and
very
also
cool.
limited. Yeah, I am,
Mhm.
however, but that's also far fetched. I'm qualified for another arena championship, but that's 11, not 10. So not this one, but the next one, which is I think in spring somewhere. I don't know, spring
Oh,
or
nice.
late winter, spring. So yeah,
Fantastic. So you've definitely got a bright professional competitive future here in the next year. I'm very excited to see how it all unfolds, and I definitely hope that we can get you back. For more episodes moving forward, because this has been an absolute delight, man. Oh, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we kind of bring this in for a landing?
maybe I wanted to briefly talk about. Hmm, it's actually funny how like PTs in general feel like really um not that great of expected value, which
Mm,
is maybe the it hits different from um like they're usually in US, right? But you travel from the Europe and stuff, so it's kind of you really need to do really well to get something off of a PT? Like, because I'm actually getting that question a lot when I coach. I got a
Mm.
question once. How can how can I make living off of winning from Magic and stuff? And it's really a matter of what you do, I think, with the publicity that you get from
Mm.
from these tournaments. That's the real expected value, and that's how I view it. Um, Maybe like you get more credibility because you're good. And don't get me wrong, it's the most fun. It's to like actually win and be at the PT and play there. Uh, but you have to do, I think, both. Like that's why I'm striving towards both, like content now and competitive, which is now a challenge for me how to manage that. And I'm always up for a challenge, so I'm like looking forward for that either way.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's yeah, I'm not super surprised to hear that. It's kind of the, as a content creator, the advice that I keep hearing folks say is diversify your income. You want to have like the ad revenue and like sponsorships and other, and the Patreon and all that other stuff, right? And so the idea that like competing is the same way, where, yes, there are your winnings, but you can't count on just those, especially because you have one bad day if you're relying on that, to cover cost of living. That's I can imagine that would be very very challenging. And so yeah, then leveraging and getting value out of the credibility. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, as a creator,
It's
I'm
just
sure.
something that the question. I mean, it's not like question, but people wonder that a lot of the times. Like, oh, now you're at the PT, now you can focus 100% of your
Mm-hmm.
like kind of time just playing that format. It's not really like that for me, at least. I could have. I think. I mean, that was like the biggest challenge, honestly. Like that's in general the biggest
Mm.
challenge was for me to manage when to test. But I guess that's gonna be for everybody. Somebody else has like I'm doing content for living combination with coaching and now the competitive stuff. But somebody else will have their day job and then they'll have to manage that with Magic. That's I think what the challenge that every player on the PT kind of goes through.
Sure. Well, and I can only imagine it's got to be weird to be focusing on your streams, and then when you're off stream having to also keep playing Magic to test for the Pro Tour. That's a lot of Magic.
Yeah, and this was specific, this PT, because the recent set was the Spider-Man set, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that was my content.
Right.
Then the
Oh
PT
no.
stuff was testing Edge of Eternities and testing Modern. But it's all right. It has been I mean, at the end of the day, if you play Magic the whole day, you also don't complain too much. So
Oh no, yeah, you get to play Magic all day. That's great. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Oh. No, that's awesome. Very
But
cool.
it's funny. I never been that like overwhelmed. Where like I never been that like confused. What part of Magic I actually want to play? Right? How do I like my day was organizing between which part of the day will be which format.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that sounds like a really good problem to have. Yeah.
It is, but
Oh.
I mean, as funny as it is, it was actually a challenge. And ultimately, I think I haven't
Mm.
spent enough time for modern. I could spend a little bit more. That's like probably what everybody thinks that could achieve, like that's so close to achieving. Because my
Mm-hmm.
goal was really, and like I had a dream somewhere in the back. I'm gonna top 8.
Oh, of course.
And I was
Yeah,
close. I was sort of close. So that's
that's
why it's
excellent.
like I could have spent a little bit more. Like that, I could have put a little bit more work in.
Oh, and it's got to be tough looking back, and you identified at least one match in game one or in game one, day one that you believe you could have taken down. Um, that's got to be tough because if that had turned, if that match had gone your way, how does that impact the rest of the event? Like, who knows, right? Um, but you've got plenty of shots lined up, man. I know you're gonna get there. Yeah, I have no doubt. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's also hard to think that way because if you like everything changes, right? You get an up paired versus kind of players that have better result if you
Mm-hmm.
win a match. So who knows if that would result into like a streak of wins, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's
Or
another
would you
thing.
have,
But so it's really, in hindsight, is really, it's kind of easy to be smart, but also you cannot really predict those. Predict like even, yeah, like it's just
oh,
in
yeah.
hindsight, everything is easier.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the other. Yeah, exactly. A change very early on would have affected all the matchups that you got after that. So yeah, it would have been. Yeah. Who knows? How it would have gone. No, interesting stuff, man. So yeah, uh, I gotta say, I mean, before we kind of close it out, you want to again kind of let folks know where they can find you and what they can expect to find when they get there, and any other final thoughts you want to throw out? Feel free. Yeah.
Yeah, check me out on Twitch. I stream daily. Dafore with an underscore. YouTube with the same name, Metafy Coaching. Just type in Dafore. Yeah, I mostly stream limited, but I think I'm gonna switch a little bit to constructed now that
Heck yeah.
that I can be smart about it a little bit.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'm definitely curious I would love to tune into some of those and see how they go. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Amazing.
And thank you so much for having me. It was a
Oh my
delight to
goodness.
talk about it.
And thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for kind of giving the making the time work. I really do appreciate it, and I would love to have you back. I know we do with every new set. I know like we get Headology on the podcast to talk limited. If we can make it work scheduling wise, where we can get you on one of those shows, I would love that. If you'd be interested, so just
I'll
tossing it out there.
definitely be down if the time aligns.
Right. Yeah. I know scheduling is going to be the biggest challenge, but we'll figure that out. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for joining, and yeah, folks at home, thanks so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We'll be back next week, and yeah, in the meantime, take it easy, everybody. Later.
Yeah.